Well, good morning, everybody. It is Halloween, All Hallows Eve, and it's about a little after 7 in the morning, and Dottie and I are going for a walk, and I decided to do a video related to a question I got in the comments from someone that is thinking about doing this full-time RV nomad lifestyle. I'd love to see that. And the concern was a really legit one that I wondered about myself for quite some time. And that is, how do you deal with your pets, in my case Dottie and George, when you're boondocking, so not hooked up to electricity, and the temperature gets high and you have an appointment and you need to be somewhere. What do? Do you cancel the appointment? What? So there's a few answers to that. And the first thing I'll say, I've never had to cancel an appointment or cancel plans because of it being too hot for the animals in the trailer. There's a couple of things. One is cats and dogs are different about temperature. A cat will generally handle temperatures higher than a dog. The dog will become uncomfortable before a cat will. So George, I'm comfortable leaving George alone in there. I might with ventilation up to 90 degrees or so, I'm comfortable. Anything over that, I'm going to do something different. With Dottie, I will often take Dottie with me, and I will do something that I got to say is technically citable in almost every jurisdiction I'm aware of. Is, let's say I take Dottie with me on a very hot day to the grocery store. I will leave the engine running. There's a way for me to lock all the doors, make sure the headlights are off so no one can see that from any kind of a distance that the engine is running. And you have to, it's a very quiet engine. It's a Ford F-150, very quiet engine. And I leave the AC going, and I've never had a problem. But that is technically against the law in just about every state that I know, that you can't leave a car idling unattended. So someday I may get a ticket. And I'm willing to take that risk because it really is so convenient. So you might ask, well, why don't I take George the cat with me? Well, George has motion sickness. So when I have travel days with George, George is sedated. Yeah, that's the last solution. I tried, trust me, I tried everything else and nothing else worked. And I talked to the vet about it, and we decided, since it's so few, I have very few travel days in a year, that there's minimal risk to George, so don't worry about George. But popping George in the car like I do Dottie is just not a practical thing. So George stays in, Dottie comes with me. If it's going to be, in the 80s or so, Dottie comes with me, usually. Now, what happens if you leave and while you're gone the temperature goes up and you don't know it? That's a really good question. And I have an answer to that. And the answer is that I have two devices. One is my Blink surveillance camera, And Blink cameras don't require a subscription or anything. You just buy them outright. You can get a like one camera system for less, about $100. But you do have to have Wi-Fi. So neither of these solutions that I'm going to talk about are going to work if you don't have Wi-Fi on in your rig while you're gone. I do. So it has a temperature sensor in it, and it will send me a notice if the temperature gets beyond what I set as a high temperature or low temperature. I will get a warning. So if the temperature climbs above 90 degrees, wherever I am, I'll get a message that says, hey, alert, your temperature is high. And I can do one or two things. Of course, I can cancel my plans and run back and take care of things. And I'll tell you how I take care of things in a minute here when I'm boondocking. Or if I'm plugged in someplace, I have, now this is quite a bit more expensive. It's like, I think about almost $400 now. It's called a MicroAir Thermostat that is connected to the Wi-Fi, and that will also send me a temperature alert. But in addition to that, I can control my heat and air conditioning remotely from anywhere. So if for some reason I was dumb enough to leave without setting the thermostat, I can activate that and turn on the AC remotely, and I can monitor the temperature and everything's good. So, what do I do boondocking now? I can't turn on the AC. Well, actually I could, because my batteries are hooked up to an inverter. It will start my AC. It won't run for very long, but it may run long enough for me to get home and fire up my generator. So that's how I handle that when I'm boondocking. And I think that answers all the questions. And if you're boondocking, you don't have a generator or you don't have AC, and it just gets way, way too hot for you and the animals, I guess you can go in your vehicle and turn on that AC or just move someplace. But I hope that answers your questions, at least on how I handle climate-related concerns about pets. So I'll put the link to the Blink camera, and I will put a link to the MicroAir Thermostat. And also, if you're really concerned about having internet, in most places, you can use visible wireless for, I don't know how much it is now. When I got it, I'm grandfathered in at $25 a month. I think it may be 30 now, but I'll check that and I'll put a link to that in the description. Visible Wireless is a subsidiary of Verizon. It's owned by Verizon. And it's discounted phone and unlimited internet. It's deprioritized, so it's not always going to be fast. It's only on Verizon towers. Well, why is that important? Because if you have regular Verizon service, they do tower sharing with other towers, so the coverage isn't going to be as good with Visible because it's only on, get off there, come on, get off. It's only on Verizon-owned towers, so the coverage isn't quite as good. But it's usually good enough, and for that, if you can get, I wish I'd know what it was now, I don't keep up, but $30 a month, that can give you that full-time wireless internet coverage that you need for this kind of thing. Anyway, I hope I've answered your concerns about pets and heat. And I guess if you're in a cold environment, the same thing would hold true for the cold. It's just when you're boondocking, that's a little bit easier to solve. Take care, and I will see you on the next one.